guys, what's going on? In this video, I'm sharing with you how to stop feeling ashamed of your credit card debt. Stay tuned. Anything like me, then you have felt ashamed or guilty of your debt before. Either you're feeling those feelings right now or you felt them in the past. I was reading a really interesting article from Money Crushers on tips for how to stop feeling ashamed or guilty about your debt. The tips that they provided were really interesting and really helpful, so I decided to put them in a video and share them with you so that hopefully they can help you as well. The first tip is to understand why you feel ashamed or guilty to begin with. This tip goes back to what I was talking about in my previous video about the book, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, about how what we see, what we hear, and what we experience growing up can shape how we view money and how we manage money. By taking a peek into your past, you can understand why you are feeling those feelings of shame and guilt surrounding your debt, which is a really good starting point for figuring out how to deal with that. Now, based on this tip, when I go back and take a peek at how I grew up, it's very clear to me that my personal feelings of guilt and shame when it comes to my debt stems from the fact that when I was growing up, we would always eat out, we would always get everything that me and my sister ever wanted, and we never talked about money, yet my parents are very financially literate, so they know how to manage their money. It wasn't talked about, the knowledge wasn't transferred over to me, and I didn't ask for it. So those two conflicting things where I never talked about money, I never heard about money, yet growing up in a financially literate household created these feelings of, oh, I grew up in this household, I shouldn't be in debt because my parents and my sister are all very financially literate and they know how to handle money. Tip 2 is to differentiate between character and behavior. Now, it's easy to think that because of the decisions you made that got you into debt in the first place, that makes you a bad person. But frankly, going into debt and overspending aren't character flaws, they're behavioral issues, which can be worked on and can be changed. When I was feeling these feelings of guilt and shame surrounding my debt, I did feel like a bad person. I felt like there's no reason why I should be in debt. It felt isolating because I didn't tell anyone about it, and I felt so stupid because of the situation that I had allowed myself to get into. The third tip is to educate yourself. I really like this tip. I think it's awesome. It's one of the ones that stood out the most to me. This one talks about how oftentimes the people who are financially literate aren't the ones that are in debt. I mean, hello. The article cites a study that found a direct correlation between poor spending habits and financial literacy. Oftentimes, it's the people who don't know how to manage money that end up mismanaging money and getting into debt. I mean, it makes sense. The more information you know about money and debt and how to manage money, the more equipped you will be to handle these situations in a different way than you would have if you knew nothing about money whatsoever. I mean, that's almost exactly what happened to me, right? I knew absolutely nothing about money. I thought I knew a lot about money. I had set up a monthly budget, even though I never looked at it, except for when I was setting it up. That was a problem right there. But I set up a budget, I did that. So I thought I knew how to manage money, but it wasn't until I started down this journey when I really decided to pick my parents' brains about how to manage money and different things that worked for them, as well as my dear friend Google. And the more information that I learned and the more research that I did, the more I feel confident that if I were in that situation again where I had that choice to spend all of that money that I didn't have, I probably would have made a different choice. The fourth tip is to stop spending. That is the title of the fourth tip. Now, when I first read this, I was like, oh boy, this one's for me, for sure. But it then continues to talk about how you should stop spending with credit cards. which makes sense. If you're in credit card debt, it's probably a good time to take a break. Put your credit cards in an area where it's hard to reach, or cut them up if you don't want to ever use them again. The point of this is to change your spending habits from spontaneous to intentional. That's what we want here. We want intentional spending. Now, I still have problems with this. However, I'm not using my credit cards. I froze my credit cards. Literally. They're in the freezer. I have no intention of taking them out anytime soon, but the thing is, I didn't want to get rid of them completely because I don't want my credit score to go down. So I wanted a fix where I couldn't use them, but my credit score wouldn't go down. So the happy middle was, hey, why don't I just go and put my credit cards in the freezer? Like, that works. I saw it in a movie about a shopaholic who put an emergency credit card in the freezer, and then she really wanted to use it because it was the only credit card that she hadn't maxed out yet. There's this whole scene of her like hitting the block of ice on the floor to try and get that credit card so that she can spend more money. It's really funny, but it gave me that idea, and it's been working out great because then I am not spontaneously spending with my credit cards. If I want to spontaneously spend, I use my debit card, which isn't all that better anyways, but at least it's with money that I have instead of with credit. I'm moving up. Tip number 5 is to create a payoff plan. Once you've made a decision that you are no longer going to be in debt, what do you do next? You create a plan. You look at all of your debts. You decide if you're going to start with the one with the lowest balance or if you're going to start with the one with the highest interest rate. And then you figure out a way to up your income, put more money towards your debt, cut your spending, create a budget, all of that kind of stuff. That goes into creating a plan. If I were to just decide, hey, I'm going to pay off my debt, but then didn't actually create any sort of logical plan for how to make that happen, I probably wouldn't have paid off as much money as I have. The 6th and final tip is to talk to somebody. Now, this one makes a lot of sense for me, and honestly, this one had the wow factor for me when I read it. Talk to someone. If you are crippled with anxiety and shameful feelings and guilty feelings about your debt, then maybe talking to a professional is a good idea. Honestly, I've been wanting to go back to therapy and talk to someone for a few months, and even though it's not in my cards right now, I think it is beneficial for anyone to go into therapy, whether you have trouble overspending, whether you have trouble with guilty thoughts about your debt, or, just to talk to someone, because it's really nice to be able to talk to someone. However, they also talk about if you're not comfortable going to therapy or if you prefer your money to go somewhere else, like paying off your debt, then talking to close friends and family will also help. However, if you're like me, and talking to your friends and family just isn't a comfortable thought for you, like I don't know how to open up to people, then find a community, an online community. It's so much easier to open up to people online than it is to open up to people face to face. Take my story, for example. No one in my life knew that I was in debt until I made a video on YouTube about it and shared it on my social media. I was trying to decide if I wanted to share it on my social media. But, at the end of the day, I wanted everyone in my life to know, but I didn't know how to start that conversation. Like, was I just gonna go up to my dad and be like, hey dad, I'm in debt? Like, no, that's not that just gives me oh my gosh, so much anxiety just thinking about that. So what I did was I created a video and shared it with everyone I knew so that I could open up that subject to have a conversation, but I didn't have to figure out how to start that conversation, because then what happened was people came to me and talked to me about it, which just made me so much happier and it made me more comfortable that way. So that's my experience. Now, if you don't have a community, that is one of the reasons why I made this channel. So if you are looking for a place to share your experience and you feel comfortable sharing it down in the comment section, please feel free to do that. I would love to hear your experience, how you've coped with it, how you are coping with it, if that's a current situation for you right now. Let's just start a conversation in a place that is comfortable for everyone and is somewhat anonymous. I don't know any of you personally, which makes it so much easier to share that way. If you got value from this video, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below, because the next video that I'm going to be posting is about how to use credit cards wisely. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I will see you Saturday and Wednesday with another video. Bye! I need a little disorganization in my life. If it can't be my finances or my health, then it is going to be my room. The fifth tip is to talk to somebody. Wait, is that the fifth tip? No. Oh, I already did that. Did I say that was 5 or 4? Oh my gosh, guys, we're almost there. It's gonna look gorgeous in the end. And that's a wrap.